Hello everyone! We are here to discuss about the different oral laws from pre-colonial time. But before we dig into the different oral laws, let me share to you what an oral law is and what is a pre-colonial literature.
Oral lore or oral tradition is a form of human communication wherein knowledge, art, ideas, and cultural material is received, preserved, and transmitted orally from one generation to another. The transmission is through speech or song, or may include folk tales, ballads, chants, prose, or verses. In this way, it is possible for a society to transmit oral history, oral literature, oral law, and other oral knowledge across generations without a writing system, or in parallel to a writing system. In pre-colonial literature, the variety and abundance of Philippine literature evolved even before the colonial period. Folks, tales, epics, poems, and marathon chants existed in most ethno-linguistic groups that were passed on from generation to generation through word of mouth. Some of these pre-colonial literary pieces showcased in traditional narratives, speeches, and songs are Tigmo in Cebuano, Bugtong in Tagalog, Putututdon in Bicol, and Paktakon in Ilonggo.
I bet that you already have an idea about the literary forms during the pre-colonial period. And now, let's start with riddle. Riddles, or in Tagalog, bugtong or palaisipan. Riddles are made up of one or more measured lines with rhymes, and it may consist of 4 to 12 syllables.
It showcases the Filipino wit, literary talent, and keen observation of the surroundings. Riddles also involve reference to one or two images that symbolize the characteristics of an unknown object that is used to be guessed. Here are some examples of Filipino riddles.
Filipino proverbs are called salawikain. Like most proverbs around the world, this impart lesson. Filipino proverbs are part of one's cultural heritage, which should not be forgotten. Proverbs are good sources of information about traditions, beliefs, and customs. They serve as guide to living, advice on social relations, and encouragement in facing life's trials and realities. The main purpose of proverb is to teach a lesson in life. Types of Philippine proverbs. First, proverbs expressing a general attitude toward life and the laws that govern life. Second, ethical proverb recommending certain virtues and condemning certain vices. Third, proverbs expressing a certain system of values. Fourth, proverbs expressing general truth. Fifth, humorous proverbs. And last, miscellaneous proverbs. Some of the most enduring Filipino proverbs that best portray the characters of the Filipinos, philosophies, and values are: ang kalusugan ay kayamanan, which means health is wealth. Ang hindi lumingon sa pinanggalingan, hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. A person who does not remember where he came from will never reach his destination. Another, ang karuhaan ay hindi hadlang sa pagtatagumpay. Poverty is not a hindrance to success. Ang hindi marunong magmahal sa sariling wika ay mahigit pa sa mabaho at malansang isda. He who does not love his own mother tongue is worse than a rotten fish. Ang umaayaw ay hindi nagwawagi. Ang nagwawagi ay di umaayaw. A quitter never wins. A winner never quits. Walang tiyaga, walang nilaga. No pain, no gain.
Hi my dearest folks, in this section we will bat around one of the examples of Philippine oral lore. Do you practically say, tabi-tabi po every time you pass by a place where it feels scary and eerie? Or do you believe in duendes, those tiny little creatures? Are you familiar with them? Or perhaps are you scared with what they call aswang? Or do you even know Bathala? If you do, then you are indeed a Filipino because these beliefs and practices can only be found in Filipino myths. Yes, let's buckle up as we will now explore and tackle Filipino myths in pre-colonial period. Myths and folklore make up a big part of our childhood and even to our cultural identity. Historians define mythology as a story presented as historical, dealing with traditions to a specific culture or group of people. It is a narrative that describes and portrays in symbolic language the origin of the basic elements and assumptions of the culture. Some of the examples of Philippine myths are the gods and goddesses, why there is a high tide during a full moon, why dead comes back no more, mag-asawang tubig, and how the moon and the stars came to be. Those given examples of Philippine myths reflects us that Philippine oral lore on pre-colonial period was communally owned, used as language of daily life, and was orally transmitted. By having such, we can now better understand our ancestors' mindset and acquaint ourselves to how they lived their life before colonization took place. And this, my friend, will enrich our self-understanding as Filipinos.
Legends, traditional narratives are historically factual but actually a mixture of fact and fiction. The medieval Latin word legenda means things for reading. A legend is a set of specific place at a specific time. The subject is often a heroic historical personage. A legend differs from myth by portraying human hero rather than the one that is played by God. Legends, originally oral, have been developed into literary masterpieces. Legends are stories of real people who are famous for doing something brave and something extraordinary. Examples: the legend of the Sleeping Beauty, the legend of the Dama de Noche, the legend of the banana plant, and lastly, the legend of the firefly.
Are you familiar with the word Odyssey and the Iliad? Those are stories as an example of the word what we called epic. So, what is an epic? Epic is a long poem, typically one derived from ancient oral tradition, narrating the deeds and adventures of heroic or legendary figures or the history of a nation. It is a long narrative poem in elevated style recounting the deeds of a legendary or historical hero. In examples of what I have said, the Iliad and the Odyssey. It is a work of art, such as a novel or drama, that resembles or suggests an epic. So epics are grand, long compositions about the heroic deeds of men and women. They include stories about gods as well. Examples are the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. An epic poem is a long, narrative poem that's usually about heroic deeds and events that are significant to the culture of a poet. Many ancient writers used epic poetry to tell tales of intense adventures and heroic feats. So, that was all about epics. Thank you.